In my chest, no map, no guide, just a wild little whisper saying don't you hide. Dust on my boots, but fire in my veins. Every scar I carry just sharpens the aim. They said stay safe, I heard don't fly, but I got thunder bottled in my sky. I'm chasing dreams like they're running from me, through the dark, through the doubt, through the debris. Every fall just fuels the climb. I'm dancing on the edge of time. No chains, no fear, just open seas. The world's too small for what I believe. If I break, I'll break and fly, still reaching for that distant light. The road's getting rough, but I'm loving the scars. Each one's a constellation pointing to the stars. They laugh when I say I'll rewrite fate, but I've never been the kind to hesitate. Storms may rise, but I won't bend. I'll ride the lightning to the end. I'm chasing dreams like they're running from me, through the dark, through the doubt, through the debris. Every fall just fuels the climb. I'm dancing on the edge of time. No chains, no fear, just open seas. The world's too small for what I believe. If I break, I'll break and fly, still reaching for that distant light. Even shadows can't keep me confined. I turn every no into fuel for the fight inside. If the sky falls down, I'll build my own. Brick by brick, I'll cover the road. I'm chasing dreams, yeah, I'm wild and free. Not the person they thought I'd be. Every heartbeat screams go more. I was walking through a quiet storm, hands half empty, spirit worn. Didn't know which way was home. Then you found me all alone. You didn't ask for anything, just gave your time, your steady wing. Like a candle in the rain, you cut right through my doubt and pain. I don't say it near enough, but you were there when it got tough. Thank you for the light you gave, for every time you chose to stay, for every word that pulled me through. I'm standing here because of you. Through the dark you held the line, turned my broken into fine. If I never find the words to say, just know I thank you every day. You saw strength I couldn't see, built a bridge when I couldn't reach. Every moment, every mile, you carried hope with quiet style. No spotlight, no grand applause, just a heart that never paused. In a world that rushes by, you were my reason to still try. And if I fall or lose my way, your voice still echoes, you'll be okay. Thank you for the light you gave, for every time you chose to stay, for every word that pulled me through. I'm standing here because of you. Through the dark you held the line, turned my broken into fine. If I never find the words to say, just know I thank you every day. I thank you every day. Some heroes don't wear a name, they just show up just the same. In the silence, in the noise, you gave me back my voice. If I could give the world to you, still wouldn't be enough to prove. Thank you for the love you gave, for every storm you helped me brave, for every tear you helped me hide, for standing always by my side. And when my story's said and done, and all the battles that I've won will trace back to the day you chose not to walk away. I thank you every day.
Up. We're here. We're back in this place again. We're back in the visiting ward where things tend to go sideways. So, let's begin. Today's topic, what if you're the problem? I know, Ren. What if you're the problem? Here's a question that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. What if the thing you're holding you back isn't your job, your past, your luck? What if it's you? Beat. You're being beat by yourself. Not in a blame yourself into the ground kind of way, though, but in a powerful take the wheel kind of way. We're wired to protect our ego, like it's the final boss. So when something goes wrong, we instinctively look outward. They didn't understand me. That situation wasn't fair. I just have bad luck. But here's the twist. Growth doesn't live outside. It lives in the uncomfortable mirror. Not everything is your fault, but your patterns are your responsibility. So let's break it down. Do you keep ending up in the same type of conflict, same kind of relationships, same cycle of starting strong then fading out? That's not coincidence, that's a loop. And loops don't break until they're seen. Awareness is like flipping the lights on in a haunted house. The ghosts don't disappear, but suddenly they lose their power. This isn't about blame. This is where people get it twisted. Being the problem doesn't mean you're broken, you're a failure, or you're doomed. It means you're the one with the most control to change things. And that's actually the best case scenario. Because if the problem is always out there, you're stuck waiting for the world to fix itself. Good luck with that. The shift. Try this mental pivot. Instead of asking, why does this keep happening to me? Ask, what am I doing that keeps allowing this? Not as punishment, but like a strategist studying the battlefield. Because once you see your role, you unlock your options. Set boundaries, change habits, walk away sooner, speak up differently. Now you're not reacting, you're designing your life. A reflection. So what if you are the problem? Then you're also the solution. Not perfectly, not overnight, but step by step, by choice. And honestly, that's not a curse. That's the closest thing to freedom that most people ever get. So basically, if you're the problem, you're not broken. You're not broken. It's your habits, your reactions. The problem always stares at you in the mirror. And let's go back to segment 2 of this. Do you ever feel stuck in a loop? Same kind of arguments, just with different people? Same type of relationships with the same ending? Same burst of motivation followed by the same burnout? That happens to me, quite frankly. Motivation and burnout. I experience it relatively often because I get what is called writer's block, where I can't think of a topic to talk about on the podcast. So we go from talking about something that means something to everyone to talking about nothing. And there's always a pattern. And patterns are like echoes. They repeat until something changes the sound. If you zoom out far enough, your life starts to look less like chaos and more like a series of repeated choices. Not always conscious, not always intentional, but repeated nonetheless. And here's the key. You can't break a pattern you refuse to see. But you're not broken, you're not a failure, and everything isn't your fault. That's not what being the problem means. It means that something's got to change. And that something may have to be you. If you can't change, if you can't accept change, there we go. If you can't accept change, then it's going to be harder for you to change what's possibly making you the problem. There's always things that need to be changed. We can't say that there's not. Some people change and it leads to them pushing away friends. It leads to them separating themselves. Some people change and they just disappear altogether. I'm not a fan of the change and then disappear altogether. If I'm going to disappear, I'm going to let you know I'm going to disappear. We can't all be the solution to every problem. Sometimes there's not a solution. Sometimes problems are... Sometimes the problem is best left unsolved. Because sometimes you can't solve everything. It's like chasing a dream. You can't chase that dream if something gets in your way. It's the best part of being able to accept change is that you can change things over and over again until you get it to where you want it. But sometimes making those changes don't necessarily mean that you're making the right changes. It means that you're making changes that require you to accept those changes. And accepting change is hard. You never know where change is going to come from. But accepting change is hard. And just because you're the problem doesn't mean that you're broken, doesn't mean that you're any less of a person. It just means that you need to look in the mirror and figure shit out. I have felt like this multiple times, but I've always looked in the mirror and figured shit out. Sometimes it takes looking in the mirror to figure out who you really are. Sometimes it takes looking in the mirror to figure out that maybe if you're in certain cases, if you're that type of person, maybe it takes looking in the mirror to figure out that you're best off without friends. I mean, no one's best off without them. But maybe it's time to start considering friends as acquaintances. Went through that a few times too. It's hard. It's unreal. But consequences have actions. And sometimes those consequences are lost on people. Maybe they don't see the consequence of their actions. Maybe they don't understand why something happened to them. Maybe it's because they were the problem. Who knows? In this life, nothing is guaranteed. You aren't guaranteed tomorrow. You aren't guaranteed to wake up and have a job the next morning either. Most jobs nowadays can fire you without warning. It's no reason. But yeah. Donzo, if you are the problem and you can't change it, then you need to figure out what you can change to fix it. And I've never known you to be a problem, sir. But yeah. So guys, as far as the podcast goes, yes, I'm going to continue doing it. Yes, I'm going to continue doing this podcast. I've sat for a little over a week now, and I've thought about it. I can't put the podcast on hold. I need to continue to do this. This is my way of talking about subjects that people avoid. So, with that being said, Donzo, we can talk. If you need to talk, brother, my DMs are always open. I did react to your message, though. But yeah. Having thought about it, I can't sit here and not do the podcast. Because sometimes the message of the podcast, can help somebody. Just remember, if you feel like you're the problem, maybe it's time to change some things. Maybe it's time to see if you can fix it. So, I'm going to leave the doors open, like I've done the last few times. I am not shutting down the visiting ward. I am not locking it. I am leaving it open. This ward will stay open for as long as I see fit. If there's ever a time where we run out of topics to talk about, I will shut the doors and we will close this ward permanently. But I don't see us running out of topics. But I love each and every one of you. Remember to tell someone you love them. And as always, I've been your warden. And I'm out of here. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you.